So you know how we always start these deep dives, right? Big headlines, cyber attacks, government sites getting slammed, NATO freaking out a little bit, even the FBI feeling the heat. And that name keeps popping up. Killnet, like it's become a brand name for digital chaos.
Yeah, it's like they want that recognition, right? Killnet.
Okay.
It's everywhere you look. But this deep dive, it's going to get us past the headlines, past all the hype.
Right, because this isn't some dusty old report or speculation from so-called experts. We got something much better.
Way better. We're going straight to the source.
Exactly. We got this interview with, get this, the current leader of Killnet.
The top dog. Spilling the tea.
Well, maybe not all the tea, but it's definitely a different vibe than their predecessor, Milka. This new leader seems way more comfortable being in the spotlight.
Yeah, they're not shying away. It's almost like they're building a brand, which is, fascinating and a little unsettling.
Totally. And the interview itself, it's a goldmine
Right.
from this YouTube channel, Ethical Hacker. You find some wild stuff on there.
I know, right? We're talking Killnet's history, their hits, their inner workings teams, structure, the whole 9 yards, and then their motivations. What makes these guys tick? What's the end game? We even get into this guy's personal journey into the Darknet. Like, how did he even get here?
Yeah, it's wild. So here's our mission. If you choose to accept it, and I think you already have by hitting play, we're cutting through the BS to figure out what's really going on with Killnet. The power shifts, the goals, the whole picture. You wanted to get informed fast, get deep into this world without all the fluff. Let's do it.
Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, this leadership change. We're going from Milka, who we've heard about before, to this new, more public-facing leader. What's the main difference between these two?
Well, right off the bat, it's their approach to fame. This new leader, they're straight up saying they want to be known. Wider scale, bigger audience, that's the goal. They want their name out there.
Kind of like a hacker rock star?
Yeah, kind of. It's wild, right? Because Milka was all about the cause, the impact of their attacks, not so much about personal recognition.
So Milka's hitting targets for a reason, a message. This new guy, he's building a brand. That's a huge shift, right? Could change everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it wasn't all smooth sailing. Our guy in the interview, he hints that there were disagreements, differences in understanding the idea, different approaches. It wasn't just, hey, I'm stepping down, you take over. There was tension there.
Yeah, like two different visions for Killnet. Makes you wonder what Milka's really up to now with this Berigini group.
Right. I mean, he doesn't give us a ton of details about that. But he does say something interesting. He thinks Milka's ambition, like aiming for really big goals, might have actually held him back in Killnet. Like the day-to-day stuff, managing this huge group, it was getting in the way of Milka's own thing.
Like he needed a new playground for his big ideas. Okay, we got to clear something up. Killnet and the club Telnet, both run by this guy. Are they the same? Totally separate? What's the deal?
Good question. They're definitely separate. Killnet, it's the global player, hitting companies, firms, good corporations. He even mentioned the U.S. tax service as a recent target, although he did say it was complex, and their team for that kind of operation was still getting up to speed.
Right, so they're going after the big fish, making headlines. Then what about the club Telnet? What's their deal?
They're laser-focused on the Darknet itself, like internal affairs almost. They're targets. Only projects connected to that black environment or the people in it.
So Killnet's making a big splash in the open, and the club Telnet is like running things behind the scenes.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Both of them, they want to be the best, top of the food chain. And they want that media recognition, each in their own world.
They want to be the king and have everyone know it.
Exactly. He actually says that being a hacker doesn't mean hiding in the shadows. Security is number one, of course. But they want the respect. They want the recognition for their skills.
It's a weird mix. You're a master criminal, but you also want awards.
Yeah, that's the Darknet for you. Okay, I gotta ask you about this saying from the CIS region. You ready for this? If you're not in prison yet, it's not your merit, it's our own. Which means, basically, if you're not caught, it's our bad, not yours.
Wow, that's harsh. Like they're saying the only reason you're free is because they messed up.
Right. And our guy, he kind of agrees, but with a twist.
Yeah.
He says a lot of these arrests, it's just stupid mistakes. Bad OPSE. Not using VPNs. Leaving traces. Like, dude, use a VPN.
Yeah, rookie errors.
Totally. But he also says, if you're good, really good, if your security is airtight, they can't touch you. It's not just Nadora Vodka, they're a failure. It's you being too good.
So skill can actually beat the system.
That's what he's saying. Okay, so how did this guy even get into this world? What's his origin story?
Yeah, how'd he go from regular dude to Killnet leader?
Well, he talks about feeling disillusioned,
Yeah.
Like the real world was a letdown. He wanted freedom, freedom to act, freedom of speech, financial freedom, like the whole package.
Want it out of the system.
Exactly. And that's what led him down the rabbit hole, right? He started watching videos about the Darknet, checking out forums, getting involved in those communities. He even got scammed early on, like a welcome to the Darknet moment.
So even the criminals get scammed.
Oh, yeah. It's a Wild West down there. Anyway, he starts hacking, small stuff at first, then bigger projects, building a reputation.
And then comes the Club Telnet. Was that like his big break?
Definitely a turning point. This was about a year before the interview, he says. He starts using it to de-anonymize people in the Darknet, like owners of platforms, DDoS guys, anyone he thinks deserves to be exposed.
Like he's shining a light on the shadows.
Exactly. And then he meets Milka. This is key, right? Milka was already a big deal, had a huge following online. And Milka, he reaches out to our guy, offers to collaborate.
Wait, Milka, the leader of Killnet, reached out to this like up-and-coming hacker.
Well, our guy thinks it was mutually beneficial. At the time, Milka's group had this database from some platform they hacked. Tons of user accounts. They team up, use their skills, and Milka's huge audience to, make some noise.
I get it. Leverage each other's strengths. And it worked, right? This guy's channel blew up after that.
Oh, yeah, big time. He's super grateful for that early boost.
Oh.
He says it's a big reason he's where he is now.
It's kind of heartwarming in a twisted way.
Yeah, you find that in the Darknet sometimes. Unlikely friendships. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Where is this guy operating from? Everyone assumes he's in Russia, right?
Yeah, gotta be in Moscow, right?
Yeah.
Hacking away in some basement.
He says, straight up, he's outside the CIS, not in Russia. He actually makes fun of that whole idea, like, oh, you think I'm just a call away from the FSB?
That's ballsy. So he's not hiding in some bunker in Siberia?
Nope. He's got colleagues all over the place outside the CIS. Safer countries, he says. So he's got this network all spread out, makes it harder to track him down.
Smart move. Okay, let's get technical for a second. Botnets. We hear about them all the time. How big is this guy's botnet? How do they even use them?
Yeah, he says he's got one. But he says it's not just about the size. It's not about having 1 million infected computers if you don't know what to do with them.
So it's not just raw power.
Nope. It's about the skills, the methods, the scripts you develop. He's actually moving away from just pure botnet size. He's more focused on acquiring material, which I think means either skilled people or really valuable vulnerabilities.
Like a scalpel instead of a sledgehammer.
Exactly. Small, precise strikes executed by experts. That's the future, he thinks.
Interesting. So what's this guy's main focus now, being the leader of these two groups? What's he actually doing all day?
Well, his big goal for the Club Telnet is monopolization. He wants them to dominate the hacking community itself. Kind of like how Killnet wants to be the top dog globally.
World domination, one hack at a time.
Pretty much. And the way he got Killnet from Milka, it's interesting. It wasn't a straight-up sale, apparently. He says it was symbolic. Not exactly a charitable basis, but not a huge money exchange either.
Like a handshake deal? More about the partnership than the cash.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, let's try to grasp the size of this whole thing. How many people are actually in Killnet? What's the team structure like? It's pretty organized, actually. He says there's a core team, maybe 10 guys. Real pros. They handle the sensitive stuff, the meaty order work, the stuff that'll make headlines.
A team.
Yeah. Then they have these larger groups of activists, like foot soldiers almost. There's an attack squad, about 400 strong, for the actual DDoS attacks, and an intelligence squad, 250 people, for gathering info and intel.
So we could be talking about 1,000 people, maybe more. That's a small army.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
This isn't some lone wolf in a basement anymore. Okay, I got to ask, has this guy ever dealt with, the authorities, like Russian intelligence or anything like that?
It's a shady business. You'd think they'd stay far away from the spooks.
He actually finds this question kind of funny. Says, yeah, he's been contacted. He's even leaked information before about drug stashes, the Red Tracker website, some smaller stuff. He says even the police contact him sometimes. They want info, help with cases.
Whoa, so they're actually helping law enforcement?
He's very clear about this. He says, we only share information with our own people, trusted guys. They might decide to pass it on, but he's not directly involved. It's all about control. Sharing on his terms if it benefits him.
Playing both sides.
Yeah, I got to be smart. Speaking of smart, remember that whole BCS Pro drama? The 10 Bitcoin debt? What was that all about?
Yeah, some bad blood there, right?
It started with this leaked database. Tons of accounts. Our guy was talking to the owner beforehand, trying to work something out. But the owner, he was too greedy, too scared. Messed up the whole thing, according to our guy.
So they had a deal to fix it, but it went south.
Yeah, basically. Later on, they make a new deal. 10 bitcoins for some information. Our guy delivers the info. BCS Pro ghosts him, doesn't pay. Says the information was useless, even though the deal was payment on delivery, not on whether the info was good or not.
Classic scam. Even in the darknet, they can't trust each other.
Right. And this wasn't an isolated incident. He tells another story about a new recruit who gave them some valuable vulnerabilities, was promised payment, and got nothing. That's a dog-eat-dog world down there.
Yeah, no honor among thieves, as they say. Okay, let's talk money. How much can you actually make from these DDoS attacks? Is it all Lamborghinis and private jets?
Not quite. He says most DDoS payments are per day, a couple $1,000 max. But he did have one big contract, 50 grand for a certain period, paid up front. So it's not always huge money, but it can be steady.
Not bad for a day's work, but the big scores are rare.
Yeah, takes the right client, the right target. Okay, I got to ask about this Moriarty guy. This is a real turning point for our hacker. Who is this Moriarty, and why is he so important?
Yeah, they go from enemies to, like, buddies. What happened?
Okay, so our guy, he hated Moriarty, like really hated him, said bad things about him online, the whole deal. Then his group attacks Moriarty's platform. You think that's it, right? Game over.
Yeah, you don't come back from that.
Well, Moriarty, he does something unexpected. He reaches out, wants to talk, offers them a chance to work together. They have these discussions, and our guy ends up becoming a moderator for one of Moriarty's platforms.
Wait, so they tried to take him down and he gave them jobs?
Yeah, and it totally changes this guy's view. He ends up respecting Moriarty, even looking up to him. Says he learned a lot from him.
That's a wild story. It shows you, I guess, never burn bridges completely.
Totally. Okay, I want to get your take on something. Everyone says Russian hackers are the best, right? The scariest, most skilled. Do you buy that?
Yeah, that's the stereotype, right? Like they're all trained by the KGB and some secret cyber academy.
He actually pushes back on that. He says he's worked with hackers from all over. China, South Korea, the U.S. Says it's not just a Russian game.
So the playing field is more level than people think.
Yeah. He's hesitant to say Russians are top one. He's seen some crazy skills from other countries, especially China and the U.S. It's a global network, not just one country calling the shots.
Interesting. Okay, let's look ahead. He mentioned some big plans, some mass attacks, targeting financial sectors, the gambling industry. What's the timeline on that? What are they actually going after?
He says December 12th is the date to watch. For the gambling stuff, it's probably about money. You need to keep those team budgets flowing.
I'm not paying the bills?
Exactly. The financial targets are mostly American corporations. But he also mentions Switzerland, Spain, Italy, tax services, government contractors, that kind of thing.
So hitting them where it hurts, disrupting the flow of money, and maybe a little message to the governments too.
Maybe a little bit of that. And then long term, he wants to go after the U.S. weapons industry, companies, factories, their databases. But that's a later stage goal, he says.
So starting with money, ending with, well, who knows what. And what about this attack on the U.S. tax service? That was already in progress during the interview, right?
Yeah, he confirmed that. It was 3 days in at that point. But the goal wasn't to completely shut it down. He was testing out this new group they're forming. 412 people, mostly new recruits.
So using the U.S. tax service as a training ground?
Yeah, pretty much. They disrupted things a bit, but the main goal was to see who's got the skills, who can handle the pressure, picking out the best ones for the main team.
Talk about a high-pressure job interview. And I gotta ask, how does the U.S. tax service's security compare to, say, some of the targets they've hit in the CIS? He had a pretty surprising take on that.
Yeah, he actually said the main protection for the U.S. tax service is weaker than what he's seen on some CIS casinos, like the online gambling sites.
Yeah.
He says to take down those casinos, even the ones with good security, you need overwhelming force, a ton of resources.
So the casinos are harder to hack than the government. That's wild.
Yeah, it makes you wonder who's really prioritizing cybersecurity, right? Okay, we got to talk about anonymity. It's like their religion, right? He mentioned this clean slate concept. What's that all about?
Yeah, how did these guys stay hidden when they're making so much noise online?
It's serious business. Clean slate means cutting all ties to your real life, your identity, new devices, no connections to your past, encrypted messengers, burner phones, the whole deal. Even changing how you talk online, your voice, everything.
Like becoming a ghost in the machine.
Exactly. He knows it's tough, that people make mistakes, but it's the price you pay to stay safe in that world.
And how does he manage this double life? Hacker by day, regular guy by... Well, whenever he's not hacking.
He says it's quite easy, actually. He keeps it separate. Very few people know his real life. Most of his communication is just with his team for work stuff. The rest of the time, he's got his own space, his own time, away from the keyboard.
So even master hackers need some downtime. Okay, hypothetical question. If we could force him to name his top 3 hacker groups in the world, who do you think he'd pick?
He struggles with this. He wants to name some CIS team, an SNG group, but he says it's tough. A lot of the best guys, they're solo, or in tiny groups, under the radar.
So the real talent's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. He mentions some good guys, but he's cryptic about it. Won't name names. He thinks the most skilled, most unique hackers, they're the ones who work alone. No big organizations, just pure talent.
Lone wolves. Makes
Yeah.
sense. What about state-sponsored hackers? Does he believe that's a real thing?
He's skeptical. Says if you're really working for a government, you'd never admit it. But he does say governments might hire groups for specific jobs or have these ongoing contracts. It's all hush-hush, of course. He mentions Lazarus Group as an example. They're different, he says. More structured, with clear ties to a state.
So it's more about plausible deniability than direct control.
Yeah, got to keep things clean. Okay, remember that whole thing about Killnet being de-anonymized by a Russian news outlet?
Yeah, they claim they found out his real name, Nikolaevich Serafimov, right?
Yeah. Our guy, he calls it a very controversial moment. He doesn't believe it. Says he knows Killnet personally, talks to him all the time, knows the team. And Killnet himself denied it. So take that as you will.
It's a murky world. Hard to know what's true and what's not. Okay, last question on this topic. Money. How much does someone at this guy's level actually earn in a month?
He's pretty open about it. Says it varies wildly. Some months, 40, 50,000. Average month, around 30,000. But he's had some big ones, 200, 300,000. Not millions, though. Not yet.
Still, that's a pretty nice paycheck for, clicking some buttons.
Yeah, not bad for a hacker's salary. Okay, what's next for Killnet and the club Telnet? What's he planning for the coming year?
World domination, early retirement, what's the goal?
He says it's all about growth, getting their name out there even more. For Killnet, he's got some spoilers, he says. Something about actions in the real world. Maybe more hacks, bigger targets, stuff that'll make people pay attention.
Like taking it offline. That's interesting.
Yeah, and he wants to combine that hacker activism with professional skills. Show the world what they can really do. Make a statement.
So Killnet 2.0. More public, more impactful.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, man, I want to be a hacker. What would this guy tell them?
Yeah, what's the path to cyber supervillain?
First thing he says, don't message him directly. He gets too many requests. He's only taking experienced pros into the club Telnet right now. But if you're just interested, check out their Telegram groups. Get a feel for things.
So no shortcuts. You got to earn your stripes.
Exactly. And he's clear about this. Hacking, it's not something you learn in a weekend course. You have a drive, the talent, the dedication. And he says, start with the basics. Programming, cybersecurity principles. Get those down before you even think about black hat stuff.
Okay, fair enough. So given Killnet's history, their attacks, the whole vibe, are they politically motivated? Are they aligned with any particular ideology?
He's very firm on this, completely neutral. He even put out a statement a while back saying they're moving away from political stuff altogether. They want to show their skills, hit different countries, firms, projects, but they have some red lines. No targeted children, medicine, or education.
So not total chaos agents. They have some limits.
Yeah, some morals, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, what's his take on this whole Telegram ban thing in Russia?
Yeah, that's a big deal over there, right? A lot of people rely on Telegram.
He thinks it's a terrible idea, calls it a very stupid move. He says Telegram is where people feel free, can speak their minds. Blocking it, that's going to cause some serious backlash.
Like pushing people towards the Darknet even more.
Could be. And what about those rumors about Telegram giving the Russian government encryption keys? You believe
That's
that?
been floating around forever.
He thinks it was probably a technical issue, not some backroom deal. But he does say if you're doing sensitive stuff, use something else. Element on your own server, signal with a proxy XMPP. He knows his secure comms.
Yeah, he's got to. Okay, let's shift gears again. He mentioned being into sports, self-development. What's his lifestyle like? How does he handle the stress of all this?
Yeah, he works out, keeps himself healthy. He actually equates drug use with other bad habits like drinking or smoking too much. Says a healthy lifestyle is key. Good food, exercise. He even calls alcohol a narcotic, just more socially acceptable.
That's an interesting take. So he's all about balance, even in the Darknet.
Yeah, got to stay sharp. Okay, what about Tor? Everyone's always arguing about how anonymous it really is. What's his view?
Yeah, is it really the ultimate privacy tool, or is it all hype?
He's practical about it. He says, look, people are using Tor for all sorts of illegal stuff, moving money around. If it wasn't anonymous enough, they wouldn't be using it. He doesn't get caught up in the whole debate about who made it or controls it. He just sees it as a tool that works.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Okay, any hobbies outside of hacking? Does this guy have a life?
Yeah, does he collect stamps? Knit sweaters? What does he do for fun?
He likes sports, still into self-development, and he plays chess. He says it's like a business simulation, a hacking strategy game. You got to think ahead, anticipate your opponent's moves. He makes a point. You can learn the rules of chess in 10 minutes, but mastering it? That's a lifetime.
So he's playing the long game, in chess and in life.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, how much time does he actually spend online, like on the computer every day?
Is he glued to the screen 24/7?
He says it depends. Some days, just a few hours, other days, 10 hours or more. But it's not always hardcore hacking. It's monitoring, communication, the whole deal. He's got to stay connected.
It's a 247 world. What about OSINT, open source intelligence? How much does he rely on publicly available information?
Yeah, is it all about fancy hacking tools, or can you get a lot done just with Google? He says OSINT is crucial. He gives this example of how they found the owner of RutTracker. You need a starting point, a hook, he calls it. But then you got to know how to connect the dots. He mentions this colleague who's amazing at OSINT, can find someone's info across servers, domains, emails, piece it all together from public data.
Like a digital detective.
Yeah. And he stresses that real OSINT, it's not just searching, it's critical thinking, understanding how information flows online. It's a skill.
Okay, big question. AI, neural networks, everyone's talking about it. How long until it changes the hacking game completely?
He knows it's coming. He actually tells this story about someone who made over $1 million early on with those neural networks like ChatGPT. Says it's going to be huge in the next 10, 15 years, especially as the younger generation grows up with it. Like how computers and smartphones are normal for kids now, AI is going to be everywhere soon.
So hacking's going to get a whole lot more sophisticated.
No doubt. Okay, what about Chinese hackers? Any insights into that world?
Yeah, we hear a lot about them, but no one really knows what they're up to.
He doesn't know the top guys personally, but he's connected through colleagues. And he's heard stories. Says their DDoS capabilities are even better than his. And he sees a ton of Chinese activity in their attack stats. They're everywhere.
So they're a force to be reckoned with. Okay, back to the Russians for a second. Are they really the most dangerous hackers out there, like everyone says?
He questions that whole idea, asks who's saying that, why. He thinks it might be propaganda, a narrative pushed by certain people for their own agenda. He says, don't just accept what you hear, think for yourself.
Yeah, question everything. Good advice. Okay, last personal question. What about books? Does he read? What does he learn from?
He's not much of a reader, actually. He quotes someone, says, I don't have time to read other people's thoughts. He prefers encyclopedias, direct knowledge. He did read some business books early on, but now he's all about practical skills, real-world experience.
Makes sense. Okay, last question, and it's a weird one. What's the craziest, most messed up thing he's seen in the Darknet?
He asks if we mean stuff he's seen online or things that happened to him personally. He's known people who were killed, gotten death threats himself, mentions two names, Pasha and Andre. Scary stuff. But then he lists all this other stuff that's become normal for him. Labs under fields, weapons shipments. He's kind of numb to it all now. It's just part of his world.
It's a dark world down there. Okay, one last story. Give us a good one. Something that really captures what this life is like.
Okay, so he was investing in these drug labs with this guy, Bryus. Arms dealer, drug dealer, the whole package. They hire this manager, Mr. Gerb. Supposedly a good guy, known for his flyer designs on the forums. They get a reactor, chemicals, everything's going well. Then, Mr. Gerber disappears. Vanishes. Takes all the money, the equipment, everything.
Ouch, that's gotta hurt.
It did. Bryus lost like 300, 400,000, maybe millions in potential profit. Our guy lost about 30,000, could have been hundreds of thousands. It's a reminder, even in the darknet, you can't trust anyone.
Yeah, it's a cutthroat world. Well, this deep dive, it's been a wild ride. We learned a lot about Killnet, about this guy, about the whole Darknet scene.
Yeah, it's definitely more complex than it seems from the outside.
Yeah.
Killnet, the Club Telnet, their goals, their methods. And this guy, he's not just some shadowy figure. He's got a story, a philosophy, a whole way of life. It's fascinating and a little bit terrifying.
Totally. And here's the thing that really stuck with me. He's achieved all this, made all this money, built this reputation, and he tells people to stay away from the Darknet. Says there's more money to be made legally in IT, pharmaceuticals, whatever. It makes you think, right? Is it all worth it? The risks, the stress, the constant looking over your shoulder?
Yeah, it's a good question to ask yourself. This whole deep dive, it makes you rethink what you know about cybercrime. about these groups, their power, their reach, and what happens when they start aiming even higher. It's something to ponder for sure.
Absolutely. So, thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and stay safe out there in the real world and online. You never know who's watching.
Stay curious, but stay informed. See you next time.